The Russian government sanctioned President Joe Biden, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. A Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs post says that sanctions prohibiting travel to Russia and freezing assets in the country were a response to the U.S. administration's unprecedented sanctions against Russia. White House spokesperson Jen Psaki, who is also sanctioned, responded Tuesday.
Won't surprise any of you that none of us are planning tourist trips to Russia. None of us have bank accounts that we won't be able to access, so we will forge ahead.
The list includes Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley, Hunter Biden, and Hillary Clinton. As gas prices soar, both sides of the aisle are now calling for energy independence, but their proposals look drastically different. NTD's Iris Tao brings us the latest debate on Capitol Hill.
The dangers of our dependence on foreign oil.
Democrats are joining Republicans' call for American energy independence. It comes amid soaring gas prices and increased uncertainty facing the country's energy and national security. But their approaches are hardly the same.
The long-term solution is that we continue a rapid and aggressive transition to renewable energy and cleaner sources of fuel.
In a presser today, a group of Democratic representatives called on the Biden administration to move away from fossil fuels, which they say have been proven unreliable in turbulent times.
Until we can shake off our reliance on fossil fuels altogether, Americans will be vulnerable to the kinds of price shocks and supply chain constraints that are hurting American families today.
But one of them did admit that we do need to produce more oil to solve the current crisis.
And so as pragmatists, as realists, we all recognize that right now, to deal with that problem, we need supply to match demand.
But some are going even further. The Congressional Progressive Caucus, which has nearly 100 lawmakers, is reportedly planning to urge President Biden this week to declare climate change a national emergency and to ban fossil fuel drilling on public lands. However, some Republicans, along with Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, are making the exact opposite call.
Immediate action item is to increase our domestic oil and gas production on both federal and non-federal lands.
They're urging the White House to restart new oil and gas leasing on federal lands. Meanwhile, the White House has blamed oil companies for not using enough drilling permits to produce more domestically. But some Republicans say it's the hostile environment created by the administration that's hindering these companies from producing more. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Iris Tao, NTD News.
The White House is planning to resume public tours again in April. Public tours had been canceled due to the CCP virus pandemic. The White House made the announcement on Tuesday. It will begin on Friday, April 15th, 2022, starting with the tours. The tours will initially be available from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, excluding federal holidays. All White House tours are free of charge. Public tour requests are scheduled on a first-come, first-served basis and must be submitted through a member of Congress. Part of the People's Convoy rode through Washington, D.C. on Monday. After circling D.C. for more than a week in a call to end the federal government's COVID-19 restrictions, the convoy sought to enter the city limits. Police blocked many bridges, highway exits, and city streets on Monday. According to live streams posted on social media, some trucks were able to make it into the nation's capital. Some major routes into the city were crowded. By 4:30 p.m., all freeway exit closures associated with the convoy's demonstration were lifted. Last week, the convoy met with Senators Ron Johnson and Ted Cruz on Capitol Hill to discuss the group's concerns over government restrictions encroaching on the personal freedoms of Americans. Police in Washington, D.C. have arrested a man suspected in the killings of at least 2 homeless people. The shootings took place this month in D.C. and New York, while the homeless people were sleeping outside. Police arrested the suspect at about 2:30 a.m. today. This about 4 miles away from the Capitol building. Gas station surveillance video shows law enforcement officers arresting the man at a gas station. The man was identified as 30-year-old Gerald Brevard. Brevard, who lives in the Washington area, has a criminal history, which also includes an arrest for assault. They transported the suspect to the D.C. Metro Police Homicide Branch for questioning. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and New York City Mayor Eric Adams had released photos of the suspect over the weekend. Authorities had asked the public for help and offered a $55,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction. The U.S. Coast Guard says efforts are underway to refloat a cargo ship that ran aground in the Maryland portion of the Chesapeake Bay. The vessel is part of a fleet of cargo ships owned by Taiwan-based EVERGREEN Corporation. The ship sailed over a shallow part of the Chesapeake Bay and got stuck on Sunday. The executive director of the Maryland Port Association says that efforts to free the ship have been underway since Sunday night. There have been no reports of injuries or damage to the 1,000-foot-long ship.